What's happening, friends? Welcome to Unlocked. It's episode 410 of the world's #1 Xbox show. Coming up on this week's episode, we're talking more Gears 5, this time multiplayer with the great Miranda Sanchez as she's been diving through Horde versus Escape. Lots to cover there. Plus, Borderlands 3. The review is out. The word is good. We'll talk to these two boys adjacent to me about that. Also, some big staff changes at Tango Gameworks about their big new project that just got announced at E3. Some interesting new looks, a little teaser of the next Resident Evil game, plus some Banjo-Kazooie news from Rare, but with a twist. It involves Nintendo. We'll talk about all that and more coming up on this week's Unlocked.
Podcast Unlocked.
What's happening, my friends? I'm Ryan McCaffrey. To my right, Destin Legary.
Bam, #1 Xbox show.
Love it.
Woo.
I love the energy. and what I like best is the stone cold stare at the camera. Just
I'm
hold
saying hi
that
to the audience.
right afterwards. Mark Medina, good to see you again, sir.
How's it going? I'm
Going
just
the opposite? Yeah,
just
going-
staring at you.
Yeah, just okay.
Low key.
I do appreciate the attention.
Hey.
I'll take it.
That's not gonna last.
Miranda Sanchez, how are you?
Hello, I'm very good. Kind of sleepy.
Yeah, well,
Real
you've been
good.
playing a lot of Gears
Stayed
5.
up real late playing Gears. Yeah,
Having to fight Xbox Live a little bit.
a tad.
little
Yeah,
bit.
I most of my experience was fine. Like the first day, of
Yeah.
course, with anything.
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
get into it.
Microsoft is having some troubles.
Yeah, well, let's.
you know.
I mean, that is the place to start here because we talked about my campaign review last
Mm-hmm.
week. You've got by the time anyone sees this or hears it, your multiplayer review should be up.
I hope so. I don't know. It's about to be out of my hands, which is a little worrisome, and I've never really had to do this before.
Yeah.
So I have to go to Japan tomorrow, but I also have to get this multiplayer review done. It is written. It's about 2,000 words because I can't help myself. I tried to hold back. The hand's like, you can put a little more here. I'm like, I knew it. And so, yeah, a lot to say about multiplayer because there's a lot to it. Like, it's not just one simple thing. Like, the Coalition does such a great job of making something that's really big.
Yeah.
Everything else.
We don't actually have a lot of other stuff to talk about this week because roll up those sleeves.
Here
We
go.
recorded late last week because of I forget why, and we're
Gears.
recording
The Gears embargo.
right. And we're recording early this week because you're off to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the Apple event all day tomorrow covering that for IGN. So it just made sense. Let's get in here now. So, a little bit of a quiet. It's only been like 5 business days, if that, since we last did a show. In fact, no, not even. Like
Not
two.
even, yeah.
2 business days. So, Gears 5 multiplayer. It's Gears has always had solid multiplayer. How you feeling about 5?
Real great, y'all. Should I just go ahead and say my score?
You can do whatever you want. It's
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You can do it
So I'm
anything.
gonna give it a 9, which I know.
So real amazing.
Yeah, it's like fantastic. It's been such a fun thing, and I'm so grateful that I was managed to get enough friends together to play Horde. Like I was
Yes.
like, my Dota team, get off Dota, play Horde, and so that's pretty much what we did. It was really great, just because there's so much to do in multiplayer, and me and my friends, the way we play is not necessarily in like the competitive PvP, but it's like PvE stuff sometimes when we're doing different things. And so like being able to go off and do that was a lot of fun. That aside, the critical assessment part is that each of these modes is made so well. And I think the Coalition's done a really great job of taking risks on trying to offer things for other kinds of Gears fans. So for me, I do like Gears multiplayer a lot with Versus, but it's definitely one of those shooters where you have to spend a lot of time in to get back in that groove, right? Like
Yeah.
the movement's so different. Like it's heavier, but smooth in how you're supposed to slide. And like wall bouncing is important if you want to really get into that kind of stuff. Also, you have to have like a very good, I guess, reflexes with your Nasher. Like if you're not winning those like up close battles, then you're just gonna just be frustrated
Okay,
and have a hard time. Yeah. So it's such a big thing, and where that's actually not a big thing is an arcade. So it's a new versus mode, which is my favorite thing. Like again,
Do tell.
so yes, I do love the rest of versus. Like rank's still there. You get your classic quick play, which is everything else from versus. But then arcade is its own queue where you pick a character and that character has its own set loadout.
Oh,
you can
okay.
have multiple versions of that. Like everyone can overlap. And then as you earn skulls through killing people or putting people down, or if you just die enough, you get like a second win skull.
Like
It's
a pity
here's the skull
skull?
for you. Yeah, pretty much. You can just start buying premium weapons. So you can buy like the Marxa, or you can buy like rocket launcher, Lancer
Boom
rifle.
shot.
Yeah, or you can buy boom shot. Like you can buy incendiary grenades. It's all tied to that character you picked, but you can change. Like if you didn't like what you picked, you can change it and you keep your skulls. And so it's a little bit more chaotic in that because you have so many different kinds of weapons on the field as soon as people start getting kills.
That mode is tremendously fun.
It is so good. And I just, when I get a little frustrated sometimes of getting, losing too many national battles, it's like, and then someone comes behind you and chainsaws you and you're like, because that feels bad, y'all. It feels real bad. It's like, I thought someone was behind me. I guess not. I love competitive games. It's so fun. But yeah, it's just like a good way to shake things up. And I think it's just a great place for people who want to experiment more with the different weapons that are in Gears because they feel so, so good. And that's actually gotten me in trouble in the campaign because I'm holding on to these like relic weapons that I love, but they don't make sense in these like kind of bigger waves that I know I'm about to face, but I still hold on to them anyway.
Yeah.
So this isn't necessarily those weapons, but it's still like different kinds of weapons for multiplayer that you don't necessarily always guaranteed to get. And so being guaranteed to get those kinds of things in a mode is just a lot more fun for me.
What are your favorites? Your favorite weapons?
Marxa. I just like just headshot.
It's funny you say this.
that and the bull talk and
I
stuff.
think that speaks to
Boltoc's fun.
to how well we talked about a little bit about this on last week's show about my campaign review, where I was talking about how I feel like that so many weapons have been added to Gears over the years, and including the couple new ones from 5. They all integrate very well. Like you've just got this massive pool of weapons in Gears now here in Gears 5, and I made a point in my review saying, like, Gears might be the only franchise where I'm still totally delighted to have the default weapon, the Lancer, on me at all times, even late in the campaign, because it always feels good to get a chance to chainsaw someone.
And you never run out of ammo because you have the chainsaw.
But like, I never use the marks, or extremely rarely. I never chose it when I had options in the campaign.
It's really hard.
So it's like, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like, it's that thing where there's enough to go around where you love it and I can just avoid it and be super happy using other things.
Yep. So I love getting headshots in Gears. So that's like kind of the perfect mode for it. So when I'm playing other versus, I do want to like use my Nasher and like kind of sneak around and make do with my Lancer. And it's a good thing, right? But it's just nice to see that there's something different for every other person. There's also co-op versus against bots, which it's like if you guys want to go train somebody who's new to it. Like there is definitely a very big messaging on, hey, the coalition knows that Games Pass is bringing new people to Gears, and that's why we got boot camp immediately when you start up and all these other things to kind of help ease new people into multiplayer, which is really great. And that's only one part of my review. And I didn't even get into like the super finite things. Anyway.
I want to hear about Horde.
Yes. Horde is so fun.
That's my favorite.
It's so hard. You still can't pause. You can't really get a break, which is still such a bummer because it's like, guys, I really gotta go to the bathroom, but we're like an hour into this. I'm just gonna get pushed through. Just you can make it. It's like, we're about an hour and a half in now, and I'm really hungry. And then one of the people I was playing, so I was playing with Arthur Geese, Mitch Dyer, Mitch's partner, and another friend, James Faulkner. So all friends of the show.
Yes.
And Mitch had chili going all day. He's like, guys, the chili is ready. I can smell it. I gotta leave. And I was like, are you gonna throw this game? We are so far in. We're so close to wave 30. You gotta stick around. And like, of course, we eventually lost. But anyway.
It was the chili, wasn't it? Thanks, Mitch.
It was
Good
probably
job,
the
Mitch.
chili.
You got real
You're off the
distracted.
show again, Mitch.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very irritated. No, it's fine. It's fine. I was also pretty hungry. I needed lunch. But like just getting to that far is so fun, right? Because like you're trying to figure out all these new tactics, how to like handle the boss fights, how to set up. But the challenge there too is that you're constantly getting new maps. So you're like, I haven't played Horde on the same map twice yet.
Nice.
Which speaks to how much I've played it, but also because it takes so long to get through one session that it's harder to like get a lot of that in.
Right.
Anyway, what I really like about the big changes with this year's Horde, or I guess this iteration's Horde, is that characters specifically have their own classes. And it's not card based. So it's not like you just pick a character and then you just slap a card on them and say, you're now an engineer. Because it has that, it kind of helps feel like you're building out their characters more, and their lines are kind of tuned to that a little bit as well. So for instance, Kat from Halo Reach is an engineer. And so her big thing is like building up everything and fortifying things and getting the turrets and getting everything set up. The coolest of the characters, though, is definitely Jack. Like, it was my favorite thing to play, and it was the one I probably spent the most time with. So,
the ultimate support character.
yes, which you would think, oh, that sounds really boring. Like, this is the one you hand off to the new person in the group and you're like, go be invisible. Please don't die, but
Just
also
stay out of the
pick
way.
me up. Yeah, pretty much. But when in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing, it's really good. So Jack is cool because he is not treated like a normal character. He does not hold weapons. He has essentially like his little stun gun, and that can only be used for so much time before it overheats. But then he can also heal, so he can repair fortifications, but also recharge shields for friends.
He's like the mage.
Yes, but he can also like move over things because he doesn't land, so there's no cover for him. So he just floats in the air and just goes over things. But so that he's not always visible, he goes invisible since he can't take cover. And so that invisibility breaks if you like perform or do an action. But that's like a major way for flanking. He can also still pick up weapons and
Deliver them to
grenades.
people?
Yeah.
Nice.
So you can't pick up ammo, but you can pick up other things and deliver them. So there's this one thing called the Forge. And if you upgrade that enough, you can like feed it weapons and it gives you power in return. And so what I was doing as Jack was at the end of a round, I'd be like, okay, what guns are you guys using? All right, you're not using all of these. So I would ferry all of them back and forth and get extra power because I'm not using weapons. So everyone else could be working on other things and I could do that.
And that gives you defense points and such, right?
Yes. And so his passive feeds into his active ability, which is he's able to take over an enemy unit and play as them without taking any damage.
Which is one of his abilities, the hijack ability from the campaign that comes later.
Yes. So what you do is if you mark enemies and they're killed, that recharges that ability faster. So it's like the constant chaining of, okay, kill this, okay, I can possess this. And hijacking the correct enemy is also really important because if you get a bigger one, you have him for a way shorter time. But if you get like just like a smaller like juvie or something, you have him a lot longer. And so it's like kind of about doing that damage and kind of figuring it out. And like invis running over people to pick them up when they need it, or just like kind of pairing with someone to heal them as they're like just suicide diving in somewhere and like getting a bunch of kills.
It seems like for endgame strat, he's going to be very important.
Oh, he's so important. And he's one of the few too that can help with some fortification stuff without having to buy like a repair tool, which is like 10,000 power, which is a lot to invest in. So if you don't want to play with more engineers, you can have like one engineer and a Jack, and it's really good. So, yeah, there's a
That
lot
all sounds wild.
Anyway.
So as Horde, you went over arcade, traditional multiplayer modes.
yeah.
And is there anything else?
So I didn't even talk about the maps yet. And there's also Escape.
Yeah.
So
I knew there was
Keep
one.
going, or this is good stuff. This is
I
all
know.
gold.
Sorry, I'll just keep spouting stuff out. But I want to kind of take a break and talk about the maps, which are awesome. So there's only 7 right now, but they're going to release new ones soon for free.
Yeah, they're all free. They committed.
I didn't ever feel like I was playing the same ones too often, though. And because if you're in versus quick play, like their classic quick play, it just keeps queuing up different kinds of modes anyway. So you're doing different objectives and not necessarily always team deathmatch on different maps.
Yeah.
Do you
It
have
still
any favorite?
feels fresh. I really like Exhibit, which is one of the, I guess, weirder maps because it's 2 lanes as opposed to 3, and it's not as like wide. It's really narrow. It takes place in a museum. And it's so cool. Like on either side, like they're kind of different themes. Like one's underwater, one's underground themed. And there's like little gift shop stuff all torn up and very cute. And there's this lower level, which is like really narrow and kind of hard to get through. And then the upper level is this bridge area. And on the bridge are lasers that go vertically and horizontally. And they trigger if someone goes on the bridge. So you can hear it trigger that you know someone's on the bridge. And I've seen so many people die there, and it's just the best. Because it's like, you guys, have you not been paying attention that there's those, do you see those red lights? Did you see what just happened to that person? No? Okay. Just follow me in. It's great.
And then there's a map with a train that hits people.
Yeah, so that's called like their dynamic map elements. Or
Is it
whatever
called
it's
Train?
No, no, it's not called Train.
There was a train map in.
I was
Gears.
just thinking
Yeah.
that it was 2 or 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, and so Gears has had like these like kind of interactive things
Yeah.
before, but it's just really cool. There's one on Icebound. There's a storm that comes through, and so the wind's strong enough to like mess up trajectories of like grenades. And
Oh,
other
that was
projectiles.
like in the campaign of Gears
Yes.
4.
Yes, and then also on Icebound, which I noticed yesterday because I got killed by it, was there's in the campaign how you can like shoot ice and things can fall through.
Yes.
That can happen in that map. So it's not deep water, but it's enough water that will start doing damage over time. It's like if you get shot through a certain area in the ground, it's like you have to get out.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of a cool way to break cover, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, there's just like all this really cool, like rich complexity to these maps.
And Escape's okay.
And I love
And then
I love hearing about map specific
Yes.
things like
Yeah.
that. Just like
Yeah.
those one-off map specific things.
I also just love I keep going back to like the design of yes, the cover's great and stuff, and it doesn't ever feel like you couldn't get out or flank someone if they're like hiding somewhere. There's always tools to get around. But I just love how they're designed and how they kind of like just further enrich Sarah and like the world of Gears. It's like, oh yeah, we're in a museum. This is great. And then there's that one that was in the beta where there's like an arcade and you go through some little grocery stores. And I just love seeing that. It's just the best.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Well, and that still leaves Escape.
Yeah, so Escape doesn't use any of those maps. Yeah, so I've already talked at length about Escape because I got to do our preview event for it.
Yes.
It's been interesting seeing how it's changed just a tiny bit since then. But still the same great mode. So Escape is pretty much the inverse of Horde. Whereas Horde takes a very long time, Escape should take you a short time.
It's timed.
Yes,
So
it is timed.
it has to be a
You
short
wanna
amount of
get
time.
out. So yeah, Escape features 3 new characters. They're called the Hive Busters. There's a comic about them with their backstory and some stuff in game. And so what you got to do is you plant some venom bombs and you got to get out as fast as you can. The thing is you have super limited ammo, super limited weaponry. You're all equipped, I think, with at least a pistol, just one pistol, and then you got to go. So the thing there is that everyone also has passive and active abilities, but those still take time to charge. And like knowing the strategy of how to use them together is kind of a challenge. At lower difficulty levels, it doesn't really matter as much, but as you get higher and higher, it's super important. Right now, there are only 3 characters at the base. There's 6 if you have the pre-order bonus characters. So that's kind of where it comes into the challenge of like crafting a team.
Mm-hmm.
And that challenge is very hard if you're not playing with people you know, or if you don't have a mic plugged in. And that's kind of one of the limiting factors of Escape is
As
not
I
being
found out
able to-
at E3, that is accurate.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the limiting factors for sure. And I do. This is the hardest thing of like playing shooters post Apex Legends. I want to ping. Why
Yeah.
can I not ping anything? Like it's so important to communicate in these sort of strategic things, and not be able to say anything is so hard because like no, don't go this way, go this way instead, or like I
You
can
can tag
ping a weapon. Yeah,
enemies.
I can tag
in
enemies
Gears,
and weapons.
But not, yeah.
Yeah, and like that's just like the one that I'm like, please give me this. I just need to communicate in some way that's not with a mic. But that aside, it's still like a super fun mode, and I love getting through it and just kind of palling around with friends in a different kind of strategic way. The thing is too with Escape. Oh my gosh, I've been talking forever. Anyway.
Now, this is all gold.
Yeah, sorry. I hope you guys like my voice well enough. With Escape, the Coalition has one set map for so long, and then they replace it with a new map. So it's kind of like I think it's 2 weeks. I don't remember
Okay.
exactly what it was. But periodically, the Coalition will change out the map for a new one. And so then those have those leaderboards, and then you can win prizes if you get so high on the leaderboards. So that's the thing that's really cool about Escape is that it does keep changing up. Even if you
Reason to keep
Weekly.
jumping back in.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so there's also a randomness to even if you're playing it right now, because like every time I've played, I've had different enemies or different kinds of enemies usually come at me. So that makes things harder as well. So you can't always plan for the same things to happen.
So all told, another fantastic, block of multiplayer from Gears.
Yeah.
You and I were talking about this earlier today, and it's Gears and Halo have been the 2 pillar franchises for Xbox for the last since 2006 when Gears first came out, and I think we were saying that Halo has had higher highs with multiplayer being just like absolute god tier, but it's also had some lower lows, whereas Gears has just, right from Gears 1 on up to through now to 5, it's just always been steadily excellent.
Yep, they know what they're doing, and it's great to see that and feel like these improvements and just see them, again, kind of do things that are a little bit more interesting for people who don't necessarily love the hardcore competitive stuff or very long sessions of Horde.
So you're 9.0 from you for multiplayer. Now we will. I went to journalism school, so I will not be doing math. There will be no math involved in the final overall score.
Same. I don't know what math is.
Yeah, 9 for multiplayer, 8.8 for campaign. We're going to talk a little bit before you go, and then we'll have a final overall score and review up here in the very not too distant future, in the next day or two.
Yeah.
Probably. So look for that.
The thing is, we definitely try to take our time with these because we do need to see how online stuff shakes out.
And it was rough for a bit this weekend.
Yeah, we talked at the top of the show is that there were some problems with Xbox Live and just like the Gears servers. And
I remember Friday, there was like trending on Twitter. It was like,
yeah, I mean, if we had just come out with a overall review that factored in multiplayer right out of the gate, like we used to do, and everyone used to do, we would have been doing our audience a disservice with all those Xbox Live problems in those first few days. But now, you get out there in the real world setting, you see how it's going, and now it seems like it's starting to smooth itself out. You've put in the time on real world servers, and now we're just trying to be more. Just put in our due diligence and make sure we're seeing everything as the rest of the world sees it.
Yeah, and I absolutely, especially with multiplayer modes, people are like, oh, you don't need that much time in it. It's like, no, you do need a lot of time too, because you got to see how like balance shakes out and like see all the different maps and actually get a lot of time with the different game types. So that way you can have a better understanding of everything and not just give it something like face value, like, oh yeah, those two were fine.
Yeah.
So never assume. And yeah, we just work really hard, and I'm very excited about it, and I hope you enjoy my review.
Well, good stuff. Thank you, Miranda. Do you need to go now?
Yeah, I really wanted to stay, but I got to finish cutting a script and getting ready for TGS. So
we will see you on this show in hopefully, I guess, 2 weeks. Hopefully, if all goes well.
I'll be back next week.
Right.
Really?
So not next week.
You're crazy.
Wait.
I'll be back next week.
Okay. So
I'm back in on Monday.
Perfect. Wow. That is
see y'all soon.
Maybe your jet lagged corpse will be
probably. I'll be. So this is the
propped up
excited. Yeah, running on adrenaline. Like I'm having a good time, and then next week will be I'm just like sipping on coffee for the afternoon. So
all right.
I'll see you.
Well, have fun in Japan.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Have a good time, guys.
All right, gentlemen. Let's talk Borderlands 3. I have not played it because I've been in Gears Land as well.
Gears Land,
population me. I want to hear about Borderlands 3. James Duggan, 9.0 for IGN. That's an amazing score on our scale. You guys have also been spending time with it. What did Borderlands? What did Gearbox get right here? Sounds like a lot.
Everything. I mean, it's really good. The humor is pretty good. There's a few sort of tongue-in-cheek moments earlier on, but it really opens up later in the game with some really, really excellent jokes. I won't read it. I mean, you can experience those for yourself. But the gunplay, they just nailed it, right? Like every gun you get is unique, and some are fun, and sometimes you just switch them out really quick. And I love that constant swapping or selling. And the fact that they got that right just makes the whole game.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I booted up Borderlands 2 over the weekend.
Yeah.
Because me and my wife had been playing through it, the Handsome Collection. And I was like, for the first time ever, I was like, man, this kind of feels old. Like the guns just kind of all feel kind of samey. But it's like Borderlands 3, every gun is like weirdly different. Even if they're very slightly, they feel punchier. The quests don't feel like, hey, here, go do a thing. And it's 3 miles that way. And so you're just like running. And no, I like it a lot. It's a fun game.
Boy, I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, it's I have to say, if just in my little bubble on my Twitter feed with people, and I see it on IGN, like Borderlands 3 is absolutely one of the most anticipated games of this fall.
Yeah.
There's I have little doubt about that. Like people are fired up for this. They want it to be great, and it's so nice to see that it looks like it's pretty well a home run.
Yeah, it's weird when you think of the fall season. It's like we start looking at it and we think there's these like huge like tentpole games, and like 2 of them are already out of the way. with Gears
and
and
Borderlands.
Borderlands.
Yeah.
What character did you play as?
I only played as Flack.
Oh, me too.
I've only played as
which pets did you decide to have?
I
had
had
the spider ant.
Okay.
And then the fire bats. That's who I went with. You didn't do the same layout, did you?
Wait, are they bats? I thought they were like crows.
Whatever, but they're fire and you shoot them.
So yeah,
it
and then the little spider
everything.
boy that walks around.
Yeah, and he
those bats are just so satisfying because you're just like, and then he just like raw, like you're just like a beast master.
For me,
he's a cool person.
As soon as I realized Flack had pets, I'm like, Flack, he's the guy I'm going to go with, right?
And he's got a lot. The skill trees all have like different pets, and you can go about it different ways. Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, for sure. I went, health and then something, ranged attack wise. But I'm trying to stack up my skill tree right now so that my crits like give me health and stuff like that. Just constantly statting into DPS while also statting it to keep me alive. Like that's the two parallels that I'm going for. Ryan, you've probably seen a lot of the pre-release coverage. Is there any character you're leaning towards?
I mean, if there's pets involved, I'm pretty much always going to like. It's hard
Flack
not to
seems
go that
to be
way.
the one that a lot of people are really excited for. He's cool.
Who else is off the top of my head? I know there's Amara, there's Zane, and there's
Mose.
Mose, that was the other one. Yeah, I really like the duplication. I almost went with him because it's just really neat that you can like clone your character, and then that clone, like also shoots the enemy, and then you can just teleport over there and switch. So when the aggro goes on your main character, you just jump behind him and keep hitting that crit. He's a really interesting character. Amara's like the mage; she like those super spiritual powers and things like that, and then.
Well, Siren, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, wait, who else did we say?
Mose.
Zane. Oh, Mose.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So, we talked before this game came out.
She's a big bear.
About how Gearbox was, what's the way to phrase this? Like, they obviously made a choice to not chase the looter shooter Destiny. Like, there's a world where Borderlands 3 could have easily been an online Destiny division kind of game.
And it's like you'll see your favorite characters, and it's like there is a narrative, but it's not.
Right. And they chose not to go that way, and instead, this is again, I don't say this derisively, but it is a traditional sequel. It takes Borderlands 2 and improves upon it and makes it bigger, better, more. But it sounds like, that you can't fault them for that choice. It sounds like they did exactly what they set out to do, and that it's
so good.
And what's great about it is I've seen a lot of people asking, like, what if I haven't played 1, 2, and pre-sequel? And it's like, this is a totally fine game to jump into.
Yeah.
And
they also made
enjoy.
movies. If you want to catch up, they have like little 2-minute vignettes about those games
I love
you can watch on our channel.
Gears has that too. Yeah, Gears has that too. So
not in the game.
Oh,
you
not
have to
in the
go
game.
to YouTube.
And Gears has it in the game.
Yeah,
which is even
I
better.
really appreciated that.
It's too bad that Gearbox should have put that in the game. There's a minor criticism. Put that stuff in the menu.
But Borderlands is really hard for me to like sell to people. I mean, like, did you like Borderlands 2? Did you like the first Borderlands? It's Borderlands. You're gonna love it. It's really, really fun. That whole looter shooter loop just is constantly there. I'm doing all the side quests to level up my XP and get the points so that I can stat up my characters. The guys are saying it's like a 30 or 40 hour campaign. So like that's
meat on the bone.
That's just the core campaign. They had to stop doing side quests because they're like, I got to finish this for the review.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they still
have you played Proving Grounds?
I haven't. I think you need to beat the campaign to access it, don't you?
Oh, okay. I've played it extensively at a preview event, and it's cool. It's like you jump in with 4 people and you're playing as your character. So like you have your stuff, everything just scales to you.
Right.
And then when you get the reward at the end, that's stuff you get to keep. So it's not like this side thing. And it's like you go through and it's like, I would say wave-based, but it's not, but it kind of is. It's like you go to like, it's like a big room, right? And then you fight everything and then you proceed to the next room. And it's all time-based. So depending on the loot, it'll tell you like, get there in 17 minutes, get there in 15 minutes, get there in 13 minutes. And so however fast you are able to get there is what will give you the loot at the end.
Nice.
And apparently it can get really, really hard. They told us at the preview event, you guys won't beat it. It's very tough. and just me and my coworker Stella beat it on our first try without even really knowing what was
At a
going
preview
on.
event.
At a
Yeah.
preview event with pre-built characters.
Yeah.
Who knows what it'll look like when it
They were
actually
setting
comes
you
out.
up. You fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
They were like, "Oh, it's
yeah,
so hard."
You won't beat it.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
It'll be really
I love
tough
this game.
yeah.
Right.
Don't fall for their marketing.
I know, right? I'm so good at Borderlands. But yeah, no, Proving Grounds is really fun. And it's one of those things where it's like once you get to the end of the game and if you don't want to just sit there and do side quests, there's still a way to loot up and do all the good stuff.
Excellent.
And there's New Game Plus still, right? See, there's only 2 people in the
I'm beating
office who have had the time to go all the way through the campaign.
yeah,
That's
'cause
Brian Malkowitz, who loves Borderlands. He's the biggest Borderlands fan. And James Duggan, who's actually on the review. So those are the only people that actually have beaten the campaign
Means there's
and
a lot to
unlocked
do.
everything.
Yeah.
Because it's huge. It's a huge game.
Yeah.
And we also only have like 4 codes.
Yeah, I kept asking Brian, I'm like, "Have you beat it yet?" And he's like, "No."
Yeah.
No, I've been playing a lot of Greedfall, and I've been
You mean
like,
Brandon didn't beat it yet.
"What's that?"
You said Brian. Brian beat it. Brandon did not.
Oh no, I was talking to Brian. Oh, he must have beat it.
He
then.
beat it over the weekend.
Oh, well, see,
Yeah.
I didn't hang out with him this week. I think the last I talked to him was like Thursday or Friday. I definitely want to play it, but I want to play it I'm going to play it co-op with my wife because that's how I played Borderlands
nice.
2.
Yeah.
And so like they were like, "Hey, do you want to try it out early?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm going to wait."
Well, good
Gonna wait for it
stuff,
to come
man.
out.
It's so yeah, 2 great games, as you said, Mark. Just 2 big players
Already out
there. Yeah.
And 2 AA games, Greedfall and Control, already out.
Yeah.
Fall season's already over.
I'm going to call Control a AAA game. We talked about this. We did this. We had this
Yeah,
rant
Mark,
already.
you monster.
But no, I mean, I know what you mean as far as it's not from a major publisher. And,
Yeah,
I don't want to re-litigate this conversation again, but because we are already running out
Get
of
him,
time.
Ryan.
Control's really good. You should play that too.
I haven't even finished Control yet.
I haven't either. Yeah, I had to stop and do the Gears review. Not that thankfully that was a good thing.
I had to stop playing a great
I had
video
to
game to play another great video game.
Wah, Ryan's job is hard. Wah. All right. News-wise this week, not as good a news, seemingly, but Ikumi Nakamura, she's the creative director on Ghostwire Tokyo, Tango Gameworks for Bethesda, for
You
Zenimax.
might remember her as the incredibly charming person
Yes, she
during
was
the Bethesda software.
one of the stars of Bethesda's E3. She was out there front and center with announcing this project, and she has departed the studio. She writes on Twitter, after 9 years as creative director and art director at Tango and Zenimax, here's one of the ends of the journeys. I learned from the talented people. This is a translation, by the way. I learned from the talented people I've worked with and respect. Contact me if anyone wants to work with me. So, it's the fact that they had just announced this game and made, she was front and center on stage with the project, leads me to believe this was not a planned, there's something here. I'm not saying that there's anything nefarious. Like, maybe she had some other opportunity come up that even though,
she says
contact me, but maybe there could be I hate to say it. I hope this is the case, kind of like a family, emergency kind of thing. You just never know what it is, but it's
an
just
odd
there's
chain of
some,
events.
seemingly something's not quite right here. Otherwise they probably wouldn't have put her on stage if they knew she was going to be leaving like 3 months later.
Regardless of what happened, I think she handled it the best way that she possibly could.
Absolutely.
And she seems like an incredibly charming and talented person. So hopefully somebody has reached out to her, or she has some stuff lined up. for
definitely made an
whatever
impression.
might happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
If it wasn't for the Keanu Reeves "You're Breathtaking" thing, I think she would have been the biggest. Like, how every E3 has that like
Breakout person.
Remember that moment? Yeah. I think it would have been her.
Yeah. So wish her well, absolutely, and we'll. I'm sure we're going to be seeing more on Ghostwire Tokyo next year. This was one where since it's obviously a Scarlet title, it's they're probably not going to talk about it again until Scarlet's officially announced, and then they'll kind of be able.
Well,
to
we never really got to even see the game itself.
Right.
Like, it was like, hey, this is a game we're working on. Here's the scene from in-game in Japan. where everyone just kind of went away.
Right.
But yeah, we haven't seen the game proper yet. So
Probably because everybody knows it's a next gen game,
Yep.
and the next gen consoles aren't officially announced yet, so we can't see them.
just remember,
Can't see those games.
it's spooky.
It's spooky. It's Tango Gameworks, man. They've done some good stuff so far. Next, Resident Evil. There is a new Resident Evil of some kind on the way.
Yep.
Next story.
As heavily hinted. Yeah. Thanks, Destin. But no, so there was a teaser for this Project Resistance that we talked about last week. It's obviously the code name for this new Resident Evil game.
4 high school kids fight some zombies
Yeah, and
in a mall.
it definitely has some Left 4 Dead vibes, but the trailer, I wonder if it's a 4v1 game.
Yeah, you see someone kind of manning the controls
In some other control room,
Yeah,
release the monsters,
to release the zombies,
set
right?
the traps,
and then when it doesn't work, that is the person that then becomes Mr. X,
right.
And so it definitely seems like I doubt that that's in the game itself. I don't know if you're setting traps for people, but it's kind of a cheeky way to say hey, this isn't just you against, because then it would have just been Mr. X. It would have just been zombies coming out.
Exactly.
Opposed to somebody setting the zombies coming out and
puppeteer,
becoming, and then becoming Mr. X.
Yeah. Yeah, totally with you. So that I'm actually more intrigued by this project after watching that. So that teaser did its job for me.
If you couldn't tell from my rampant cynicism, I'm not that interested in this at all.
Thanks, Destin. Not every game is for everyone.
I know.
That's the beauty of
Just
video
balancing
games.
it out. You're excited. I'm not.
There's so many video games that we can find one that you're interested in as well.
I'll stick with Borderlands. Thanks.
Well,
Go play Destiny Shadowkeep.
yeah.
October 1st, baby.
5-year anniversary of Destiny today.
Today. Yeah.
Today.
Actually.
God, I can't believe it was. So that means I interviewed Jason Jones 5 years ago.
And you played the raid. You played Vault of Glass, or we watched that.
No, well, yeah.
Did
At
you
the
play
time,
it, right?
I did. Yeah, it was an off-the-record thing. I got to get a little sneak preview. I didn't get to write about it at the time.
Did I just do a bad?
I don't think so. I think, I think
It's
the
been 5
statute of
years.
limitations is up on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little sneak preview of the raid, which is part of the reason why I was just I was bummed I never got to play it, because you had to grind your face off to even get to it. But
that raid is still my favorite raid, I think.
first one,
Yeah.
It's the only raid I've ever done.
It's hard to sort of go back to your first raid experience after, you do the other ones. They're always cool. They're still one of my favorite things to play in Destiny. But that first one, nothing had really been done like that on a console.
That's true.
Like World of Warcraft had their dungeons, Mark. I know you played that a lot. And Final Fantasy 11 was out. And I don't know about 14. I think 14 had come along, but nothing like this had been done before with a looter shooter.
6-player.
6-player raid activities on a console. It was really, really special for me to play and be there early on in the game.
Yeah. So happy 5th to Destiny, and then we are going to be finding out more about Project Resistance, probably including its actual name.
Oh, yeah. We'll
Resident
talk about
Evil
that.
blank. That's going to be at TGS, where Miranda is going. So we'll find out more about
This
that
weekend. In a
You said
couple of
Destiny,
days.
and my brain turned into
Oh
Destiny
yeah, you
mode.
just
Sorry.
went right into Fire Team
Welcome
chat.
to Fire Team Chat.
And then the last thing I want to talk about this week, because again, it's been a little quiet in the whopping 3 business days since we last did a show, but this is fascinating. So this is technically a Nintendo story, but it's also an Xbox story.
Yeah.
Super Smash Brothers has been adding characters left and right, a lot of interesting and eclectic fighters being added to the mix. Well,
They got a cool one.
at E3, we learned that Banjo and Kazooie were making their way in, the return of these beloved rare characters to the Nintendo platform. Well, we had a Nintendo Direct where they announced a number of things this past week, and this Banjo and Kazooie being out and playable and in Smash was one of them. And what was really interesting here was that Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Super Smash Bros., on the Nintendo Direct actively encouraged people to play Xbox, which was just so neat to see. So he says, as some of you may know, the Banjo-Kazooie IP now belongs to Microsoft. Technically, they're a rival platform holder. Even so, they were happy for Banjo and Kazooie to join the Super Smash Bros. Series. For that, I'm extremely grateful. Rare also welcomed us with open arms. So if you want to play Banjo-Kazooie today, you can do so on Xbox. I know this is a Nintendo broadcast, but please give the game a try on Xbox.
Yeah.
Which was just so cool to see. I mean,
I love this new relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we need to see more of. I put a little congratulatory note to Phil Spencer on Twitter. He was kind enough to reply saying, hey, yeah, a lot of people were pulling for this, myself included. It's great to see. And it's just, it's a total kumbaya moment for the industry. But it's like, this is the stuff, we should take a minute here to celebrate because, as gamers, there's a lot of this platform versus that platform and my exclusive versus your exclusive. And I like my thing better than your thing. But like, this is so great that especially if you stop and think about it, if you're right now, you're ready to just press stop and say, I'm sick of hearing Ryan talk, which I get it. But if you let me frame it to you this way. Nintendo and Microsoft are two massive companies.
Yep.
Even if Phil says, I am okay with Banjo and Kazooie being in Super Smash Brothers, the amount of legal effort and business shenanigans that go into that, it's a lot. Like you have to go through all kinds of sign-offs, and it's like, Nintendo can use them this way, but not that way, and they can do this, but not that, and like there's so many weird little details that I'm not even privy to.
They can announce him, but they have to plug in the direct to go play Banjo-Kazooie on Xbox.
Maybe that's entirely possible. I mean, I do. I mean, I know you're half joking about it.
It seemed genuine.
It did seem genuine, but that's also that could have happened. That could very well have been. Well, you got to give us a plug.
Yeah.
In your like that could.
Well,
have
look at Sony and Spider-Man. Everyone thought that was done. That's it. Tom Holland, Spider-Man. He's in the MCU. Nothing will ever change that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was always on shaky ground.
But I mean, like
that was never locked.
If you're inside baseball, sure.
Yeah.
For most people, they just think that's it. Spider-Man's part of the MCU. And it's like he had been in like 5 movies at that point.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, no, he's not
That's
there
it.
anymore. Deal's over.
Business is
I'd
over.
say most people don't even know what the MCU is. Like even that's a little inside baseball.
sure.
The general audience just likes the Marvel movies, you know.
But the point is, that this Banjo-Kazooie thing, it may seem just like a nice, simple little gesture between two companies in the video game business respecting one another, but and at its heart, it may very well be that. But just to even make that gesture a reality is a big deal, and I just think it's so cool that I'm sure the lawyers had some long nights, like on conference calls. I mean, granted, they are Nintendo of America and Microsoft are both in Redmond. They're like a mile apart.
Yeah.
They're super. They probably had a lot of face-to-face meetings to hash all this out, but it's just so great to see. So
They've been playing nice. Like I know Ubisoft they're not a first party company, but it's like the fact that Ubisoft got to make a Mario game.
Yes.
And it's like they've been wanting it. So now Cuphead's got to come to Smash. Like that's next.
That would be cool.
That's next.
That would be such a big deal for Studio MDHR. If they hook that up.
That'd be cool.
It's Cuphead's on Switch, so
it is.
The
on
bridge
Switch.
is there. Yeah, that bridge has been constructed.
Yep.
It's just a matter of crossing it. So
I don't mean to bring it back to Destiny, but I'm going to for about 2 seconds.
Please.
Pete Parsons and Phil Spencer actually are doing a strike challenge within Destiny. I don't know if that happened this weekend or it's on the way, but they also collaborated. So that's
great.
just another example of a big studio head playing a game that he loves with Pete Parsons over at Bungie.
And Phil does love Destiny.
he
tweets about
you
it
can
a
check
lot.
his Xbox Live account.
Yeah.
He plays a lot.
I love seeing these sort of collaborations from any studios.
Why haven't you gotten Phil Spencer on Fire Team Chat? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, come on, Phil. Hit me up.
Get it. We got to get him down here.
Yeah.
We just need to lock him in IGN for a day.
Yeah.
Unfiltered, unlocked.
Yeah.
Fireteam chat.
That would be an amazing perspective to have on Fireteam chat.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be
well.
so interesting. Just talk to him as a Destiny
If only,
fan.
if only you knew people that knew how to
Yeah.
get a hold of him.
I never even thought about it. That's a good
if
idea.
only like you.
I'm thinking too small.
Well, we can talk about that later.
All right.
But yeah, good stuff. And then on a semi-related note, this is also just totally in good fun, but Rare posted a picture of some of the team from Obsidian, a new member of the Xbox Game Studios family,
Yeah.
visiting Rare's campus in the UK, and so I immediately made like an all caps joke tweet of like Banjo 3E RPG confirmed, and Craig Duncan, who I know is listening to this, replied with like some sort of emoji like, "What are you doing to me, Ryan?" And then,
sweat.
but then someone else had a way better idea than even a Banjo 3E RPG that Obsidian could make with Rare's characters. A Kingdom Hearts style game with all of the stable of Rare characters.
Oh, interesting.
That would be so good. I wish I could. I'll have to find the person's name later to credit them. But anyway, I mean that stuff happens at companies all the time, where people from one area of the company
Go visit.
will kind of come in. Yeah, you sort of share ideas and
Here's our workflow. Here's some stuff you could learn.
or tools,
Yeah.
various things. So don't read into that. There's not necessarily any like crossover projects going on.
I
But
kind of want to throw out my own narrative-based Sea of Thieves game, like Sea of Thieves, but single player
Sea
RPG.
of Thieves, the RPG.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yep.
Could be cool.
Yeah, Mark,
We did it.
you did it.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I love Sea of Thieves, but
I do too.
I'd love for it to have a campaign, like
That-
a proper one.
That would be really good.
It'd be cool.
That would be really good. Oh man.
I got one. Perfect dark, but good. Sorry. It's been a while.
It's been a
I
while.
wanna
It's been a
do
while
perfect
since
dark.
we've had.
To be fair,
dark.
0 was not bad. It just wasn't great.
Yeah.
It was fine.
I would love if they gave it the Tomb Raider treatment, basically.
That would be cool.
The
The only thing is, I mean, in all seriousness, I know you're half joking, but like Xbox doesn't need another first-person shooter or like a act.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but they do need RPGs, Mark.
It's true.
They do. That's why they bought 2 RPG studios. I want 2.
I mean, I'm really excited. I can't wait to see what they start cranking out from that
Yes.
those studios that were acquired. It's going to be a really good next 5 to 10 years.
We've got the Outer Worlds first, which is not exclusive, but it's Obsidian's next
October,
game.
right?
I know
It's-
that's in a month and a half from now.
It's very
6
soon.
weeks that game's out.
Yeah. In the span of 2 weeks, we have Call of Duty, Outer Worlds, and Death Stranding. There, I plugged Death Stranding on Unlocked.
Dang it, Mark.
But yeah,
What am I gonna do
it's
with you?
October gets
yeah.
nuts.
And for me, I've got the last like the peak of the mountain, like climbing the fall games mountain. Like, okay, got to play this one, play that one. November 22nd, Doom Eternal.
Oh, Doom.
Doom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Doom. Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order is the week before.
Okay,
That's like
okay.
the second to last
That
stop
is
on the trip.
So
That
weird.
is this fall.
So that's November 22nd.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great Thanksgiving break game.
I miss the days when it was like 2 games during the fall season. Now it's just too many.
Spoiled for choice.
Yeah,
So, I'll probably do Borderlands, Destiny, one like Call of Duty or one of the others, and I'll have to do Death Stranding just to check it out because it's
But
new.
Outer Worlds you're a big Fallout
I'll do
fan.
Outer Worlds.
So we'll have to do Outer
Absolutely.
Worlds.
Yeah.
And then I really, really excited for Link's Awakening.
Oh, me too, dude. It comes out on my birthday, September 20th.
That game's right around the corner.
The last time that I remember a game that I was super excited about coming out literally on my birthday was is relevant to the Unlocked audience, was Gears of War 3. Came out on September 20th of, I guess that was 2011 maybe. I don't quite remember which year 3 came out. But yeah, so Link's Awakening. I never played it on Game Boy.
Oh, really?
I didn't play the Game Boy one.
I've been telling people that's possibly the first game I've ever played.
Nice.
Because
Really?
the first thing I had was Game Boy, and that was like I got that game, and
Yeah.
so that's possibly one of the first games I ever played. That or Kirby's Dream Land, one of those.
Wow.
Two.
Well, so much good stuff to look forward to this fall. All right, that will do it there. I know we have to get out of here in a minute, or else our overlords in video production will yell at me. So
Just my wife.
let's skip. She's one of the overlords. We will save the loot box for next week. Let's quickly do trivia. Frequent listener, regular listener, Josh, gamertag Chester Chivo. How's it going, Josh?
That's pretty good.
Asks this of you gentlemen, and maybe I'll give Miranda a shot since she was technically on the show. I'll give her a chance to get
Just
a
ask
point.
her to ask her.
Yeah, I will. So, which Halo weapon was inspired by the Norse mythological figure Odin and has a Norse symbol etched onto its side? How well do you gentlemen know your Halo weapons? If you played enough multiplayer to have them seared into your head like I have. Did the Spartan laser have that? The spiker, the beam rifle, or the mauler? Do either of you know?
Take it away, Mark.
The Mauler is such a cool weapon.
It is.
The pistol shotgun.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I'm just gonna say the Mauler because that's a dope weapon.
Okay.
See, I think it might be the Mauler. Beam rifle makes sense if it's inspired by that character. But because it's mythology and that's a human thing, I'm going to go with Spartan laser because it wouldn't make sense for the Covenant to do that. And I think Bungie might have been weird about it. I could be wrong, though.
Solid line of thinking
That's right.
led you to the correct answer.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
Destin at 10 points, cracking double digits. I will give Miranda a fair chance when we get out of here in just a few minutes to see if she can match you there. So for now, Miranda at 6, Destin at 10, Brandon at 4. He'll be back next week, by the way, and Mark at 2 points.
I'm like, Norse mythology, that's a human thing. The Covenant don't know anything about Norse. They wouldn't have any reason to.
Yeah.
So,
Well, good stuff. Yeah, you're had a good thought process there. If you have a cool Xbox trivia question, please send it in. I actually was having to scroll back a while to find a good one. So I'm looking for some fresh material to tempt these fine podcasters with. So send in an Xbox trivia question. 4 multiple choice answers need to be with that. Note the correct one in your email. And you can email that to me at unlocked@ign.com.
and send it to me on the DL. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't do
Just kidding. Don't do that. Don't.
Also, actually, I got an update. The Unlock Block Trivia Trophy is nearly complete and will be
on
its
desk.
way. Well, we'll see. You're in good shape, but it's you have not clinched anything yet. So it's all starting to come together. We're heading into the home stretch of 2019. Mark Medina.
Yeah.
Do you want to plug anything before we go?
Sure. At Mark_Medina on Twitter, and I have been playing a ton of Greedfall. So if you see any Greedfall stuff on the website, check it out.
Yeah, a game that we keep. You keep feeding the internet with videos. People are super interested in this game. So
yeah, it's really long but it's fun, and I would say give it a shot. It's by a developer that you probably don't know too well, Spiders. If you like Dragon Age, I think you'll like Greedfall.
It's set in the 16th century, I believe. Fantasy setting.
It's all fantasy. Yeah. There's a lot of like. In the first, depending on how many side quests you do, you meet like a Bloodborne, and not inspired, but like they look like they could be Bloodborne bosses, and like for the most part, you're fighting like giant wolves or maybe just other people, and then all of a sudden something will come out of the ground, and so it's cool.
Good times. Yeah. Destin?
Yeah, my job's weirdly been largely making sure that we're doing stuff and just assigning things out and
traffic
things and making sure that events have event requests and that
hall monitor.
We have proper staff for those events and all that good stuff. So follow me on Twitter at Destin Legary for none of that. Probably just mostly dumb jokes. And when I'm streaming over at twitch.tv/The Destin Channel.
Sounds good. You can find Miranda on Twitter at Havoc Rose, Havoc with a K. Give her a little fair promotion. Oh, look at that. Put the lower third up. Thank you. And you can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. I guess just look for the final. Look for Miranda's. I mean, you got a lot of it here on the show, but check out the video and/or written version of her multiplayer review, and then you can find my final overall review coming to IGN very shortly for Gears 5, and I think that will about do it. So, for Miranda Sanchez, Mark Medina, and Destin Legary. I'm Ryan McCaffrey. This was Unlocked episode 410, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.